Your GMC has 200,000 miles on it. The payments are done. It runs, it drives. But every morning, you turn that key and wonder, how much longer? Here's the truth. The difference between a truck that dies at 200,000 and one that makes it to 350 isn't luck. It's a checklist. 9 things, done in the right order at the right time. A new Sierra costs $55,000. This checklist costs about $3,000, and it buys you another 150,000 miles. Here's the plan, starting with the single most important thing you can do this weekend. Step 1. The full fluid reset. At 150,000 miles, your fluids aren't just old. They're chemically different from what went in. Every fluid has an additive package: detergents, anti-wear compounds, friction modifiers, corrosion inhibitors. By high mileage, those additives are depleted. The base fluid still lubricates, but the chemistry that protects metal surfaces, neutralizes acids, and suspends contaminants is gone. Transmission fluid has lost its friction modifiers. Coolant is eating your water pump from the inside. Brake fluid has absorbed moisture. Power steering fluid has turned acidic. At 50,000 miles, old fluid is underperforming. At 150,000, old fluid is actively causing damage. The full fluid reset means changing everything. Not over the next year, not one fluid per oil change. Everything within the same month. Engine oil and filter, fresh synthetic meeting, Dexo spec, $45 to $70. Transmission fluid, drain and fill, not flush. Drop the pan, replace the filter, refill with Dexron 6, which is backward compatible with older Dexron 3 applications. If the fluid has never been changed, do 2 drain and fills spaced 1,000 miles apart. That replaces about 75% without shocking the transmission. $80 to $150 per service. Differential fluid, front and rear if you have 4-wheel drive. $75W90 synthetic gear oil. Add friction modifier if you have a limited slip rear. Transfer case fluid too. Check your owner's manual for the correct spec. Most newer trucks use Auto Track 2. Some older transfer cases take ATF. Total for both, $100 to $200. Coolant, full drain and fill with Dex Cool. Not a flush machine, a drain, distilled water rinse, and refill. $30 to $50. Brake fluid, complete bleed and replacement at all 4 corners. DOT3. Power steering fluid, turkey baster flush from the reservoir if your truck has hydraulic steering. Both together, $30 to $60. Total for the full fluid reset doing it yourself, $300 to $500. At a shop, $800 to $1,200. That's the foundation. Every step after this assumes your fluids are fresh. Without clean fluids, nothing else on this list matters. Now that the fluids are fresh, let's make sure the system that keeps your engine alive is actually working. Step 2. Cooling system overhaul. At 150,000 miles, your cooling system is quietly deteriorating. Nothing has failed yet, but everything is closer to failure than you think. Your radiator has 150,000 miles of mineral deposits narrowing the internal passages. It's not clogged, but it's not flowing at full capacity either. On a cool day in city driving, you'll never notice. On a 100-degree day towing up a grade, that reduced capacity is the difference between normal temperature and a blown head gasket. Here's the decision framework. If your temperature gauge has always been rock steady and you've never had an overheating event, flush the radiator during your fluid reset and inspect it visually. Look for discoloration on the tanks, wet spots at the seams, and bent or damaged fins. If it looks clean, keep it. If you've ever had an overheating event, or if the radiator has visible corrosion or seepage, replace it. A new radiator costs $200 to $400. Installation is a Saturday afternoon project on most GMC trucks. Compare that to a $3,000 head gasket job from an overheating failure you could have prevented. The water pump is next. Most last 120 to 160,000 miles. If you're at 150,000 on the original pump, you're on borrowed time. It won't give you much warning. Maybe a slight whine, maybe a small weep from the weep hole, or it just lets go on the highway. Replace it proactively. Parts, $100 to $200. Shop installed, $300 to $500. While you're in there, replace the thermostat, $15 to $25. They get lazy with age, opening too slowly, causing the engine to run hotter than designed. Hoses, both upper and lower radiator hoses, plus the heater hoses. Squeeze them. If they're hard, cracked, or spongy, replace them. A hose failure at highway speed dumps your coolant in under a minute. Hoses cost $20 to $40 each. Your cooling system is the only thing standing between your engine and catastrophic thermal damage. Refresh it now or gamble later. Speaking of things that wear quietly, let's go underneath the truck. Step 3. Suspension and steering refresh. Here's something most high-mileage owners don't realize. Your truck doesn't drive the way it did when it was new. The change was so gradual you didn't notice. But the steering is looser, the ride is floatier, your tires are wearing unevenly, and every alignment gets eaten up in 6 months. At 150,000 miles, your ball joints have play, tie rod ends have slop, shocks have lost damping force, and control arm bushings are cracked. None have failed, but they're all outside their design tolerances, causing cascading problems. A suspension and steering refresh is one of the highest impact things you can do to a high-mileage truck. Priority order: ball joints first, upper and lower, because when they're worn, nothing else can be properly aligned. Tie rod ends next, inner and outer. Shocks or struts: if the truck bounces more than once when you push down on the bumper, they're done. Control arm bushings last, usually means replacing the entire assembly. Total parts doing it yourself, $800 to $1,500. At a shop with alignment, $1,500 to $2,500. After the refresh, the truck will drive like it did at 50,000 miles. Your tires will last twice as long, and you'll wonder why you waited. Now let's move to something you can't feel from the driver's seat, but it's costing you money every mile. Step 4. Ignition system refresh. Your truck runs fine. No check engine light, no obvious misfire. So the ignition system must be okay, right? Not necessarily. Spark plugs degrade gradually. The electrode wears down. The gap widens. The spark gets weaker. But the change is so slow that you never notice a specific moment where performance dropped. You just gradually lose a mile per gallon here, a little throttle response there. Over 150,000 miles, those small losses add up. A weak spark doesn't just cost you fuel economy, it causes incomplete combustion. Incomplete combustion means unburned fuel washing past the rings and contaminating your oil. It means carbon deposits building up faster on your valves and pistons. It means your catalytic converter working harder to clean up exhaust that should have been clean in the first place. If you're still on original spark plugs at 150,000 miles, you're overdue. Even if they're iridium plugs rated for 100,000 miles, they're past their effective life. Replace the plugs. A C Delco Iridium for GM trucks. $40 to $80 for a full set of 8 on a V8. If you have coil-on plug ignition, which most modern GMC trucks do, inspect the coil boots for cracking or carbon tracking. Replace any that look questionable. Individual coils cost $30 to $50 each. If you have an older truck with plug wires, replace the entire wire set. $40 to $70. Total ignition refresh, $100 to $200 in parts, an hour or two of work. And you'll feel the difference immediately. Smoother idle, better throttle response, improved fuel economy. The easiest win on this list. Now, the system that scares high-mileage owners the most. Step 5. Transmission service strategy. This is where high-mileage maintenance gets nuanced, because at 150,000 miles, the approach to transmission service depends entirely on what's been done before. If your transmission fluid has been serviced regularly, drain and fills every 50 to 60,000 miles, then continue doing exactly what you've been doing. Fresh fluid in, old fluid out. The transmission is healthy, and you're maintaining that health. If your fluid has been changed once or twice, but not on a strict schedule, do a drain and fill now. Don't flush. A gentle drain and fill replaces about 40% of the fluid. Drive 1,000 miles, then do another drain and fill. You'll have replaced about 65% of the total fluid volume without disturbing anything. If your transmission fluid has never been changed in 150,000 miles, this is where it gets complicated. The conventional wisdom says, if it's never been changed, don't change it now. There's truth to that. Over 150,000 miles, wear material and friction deposits have accumulated in the fluid. Some of that material is actually helping the clutch pack's grip. Removing it suddenly can cause slipping, but leaving degraded fluid in the transmission guarantees continued wear. It's a slow death either way. Here's my recommendation for the never change scenario. Do a single drain and fill. Not a flush, not a double service. One pan drop, one filter change, one refill. This replaces about 40% of the fluid, enough to introduce fresh friction modifiers without dramatically changing the composition. Drive on it for 5,000 miles. If the transmission shifts better, do another drain and fill. If it shifts the same, leave it alone and plan for eventual replacement. What you absolutely should not do is put a never-serviced high-mileage transmission on a flush machine. The high-pressure flush will dislodge deposits throughout the valve body and clutch packs. I've seen transmissions that were shifting fine go into complete failure within 1,000 miles of a flush. The flush didn't fix anything. It killed a transmission that had another 50,000 miles left in it. The transmission is the most expensive component on your truck. Treat it with respect at high mileage. Gentle services, no machines, an honest assessment of its current condition. Quick thing, if you're committed to keeping your high mileage GMC on the road, subscribe. I put out videos every week for owners who'd rather maintain than replace. If you haven't seen my video on the 10 hidden tricks that make your GMC run better, that covers the diagnostic and monitoring steps that complement everything in this video. Step 6. Seal and gasket inspection. At 150,000 miles, something on your truck is leaking. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. But rubber gaskets and seals have a finite life, and yours are past their prime. Not every leak needs to be fixed immediately. The key is knowing which ones are urgent and which ones you can monitor. Fix now. Any coolant leak. Coolant leaks get worse, never better, and a cooling system failure leads to engine damage. Valve cover gaskets that are dripping onto exhaust components. That's a fire hazard. Any leak that's creating a puddle on the ground. Monitor but plan to fix. Valve cover gaskets that are seeping but not dripping. Light oil film around the oil pan. Minor power steering seepage. Age-related, not emergencies. Leave alone. A light mist of oil around the rear main seal area. Rear main seal replacement requires pulling the transmission. That's a $1,500 to $2,000 job. If it's just a light seep, top off your oil and live with it. The cost of repair doesn't justify the severity of the leak until it becomes a genuine drip. The intake manifold gasket deserves special attention on GM trucks. The older 5.3-liter and 5.7-liter engines use gaskets that deteriorate with age and allow coolant to mix with oil, or leak externally. If you see any sign of coolant loss without an obvious external leak, check the intake manifold gaskets. Catching this early is a $400 repair. Missing it leads to engine damage. Walk around your truck, look underneath it after it's been parked overnight. Know what's leaking, how fast, and make a plan. Step 7. Electrical system check. High-mileage electrical problems are the most misdiagnosed issues in the shop. Owners come in with rough idle transmission shifting problems, random warning lights, and intermittent stalling. They spend hundreds on parts that don't fix anything. The actual problem is a corroded ground strap or a weak alternator. Your truck's electrical system is the nervous system. When it degrades, everything else starts acting strange. Start with the battery. A load test, not just a voltage check, tells you if the battery can deliver adequate cranking amps under load. Auto parts stores do this for free. If the battery is more than 4 years old and tests marginal, replace it. $120 to $200. Test the alternator output with a multimeter while the engine is running. You should see 14 to 14.5 volts. Below 14 means the alternator is weakening. On trucks with active fuel management, low voltage causes AFM solenoid issues that mimic lifter failure. I've covered this in detail in my hidden tricks video, but at high mileage it's worth rechecking every year. Inspect the ground straps. Your truck has multiple ground connections between the engine, frame, and body. Over time, these corrode. A corroded ground creates resistance that makes sensors read incorrectly, computers make bad decisions, and components behave erratically. Clean every ground connection you can find. Wire brush the contact surfaces. Apply dielectric grease. Retighten. Check your fuse boxes for corrosion too, both under the hood and inside the cab. This costs nothing and fixes phantom electrical problems that shops charge hundreds to diagnose. A complete electrical check takes an hour, almost free, and it eliminates an entire category of problems that waste time and money. Step 8. Proactive component replacement. Some parts are cheap to buy and catastrophic when they fail. At high mileage, these parts are living on borrowed time. Replace them before they strand you. Serpentine belt drives your alternator, water pump, power steering pump, and AC compressor. When it breaks, you lose all of them simultaneously. Your engine overheats in minutes. A new belt costs $25 to $50. Replace the tensioner and idler pulleys at the same time. Another $40 to $80 each. At 150,000 miles, don't wait for visible signs of wear. Just replace it. Fuel filter, especially on diesel trucks, but gas trucks benefit too. A restricted fuel filter starves the engine under load. On a Duramax, a clogged fuel filter can cause low rail pressure that mimics a failing high-pressure fuel pump. Owners spend thousands chasing a pump problem that was actually a $30 filter. Replace it every 30,000 miles on diesel, every 50,000 on gas. PCV valve. On trucks that have a serviceable one, this is a $5 part that affects oil consumption, crankcase pressure, and emissions. A stuck PCV valve can cause oil leaks, increase carbon buildup, and rough idle. Replace it every 50,000 miles. Total for all three, under $250. Cheap insurance against expensive failures. Step 9. The honest assessment. Everything on this list assumes your truck is fundamentally sound, but at 150,000 miles, you need to be honest about what you're working with. Check your compression. A compression test tells you the true health of your engine's internals: piston rings, valves, head gaskets. If all cylinders are within 10% of each other and above the minimum spec, your engine has life left. If one or more cylinders are significantly low, you're looking at internal wear that no amount of maintenance will fix. A compression test costs nothing if you own a tester, or $50 to $100 at a shop. It's the most honest assessment you can get of your engine's remaining life. Check your transmission for slipping. During your test drive, accelerate moderately from a stop and feel for any RPM flare without corresponding acceleration. That's a slip. A slipping transmission at high mileage is telling you it's approaching end of life. Fluid changes might buy you time, but they won't reverse internal wear. Look at the frame, especially if you're in the rust belt. Crawl underneath and inspect the frame rails, cross members, and body mounts. Surface rust is cosmetic. Flaking, scaling rust that's eating into the metal is structural. A truck with a rotting frame isn't worth investing in, no matter how good the engine and transmission are. If your truck passes all three, good compression, no slipping, solid frame, every dollar on this checklist is money well spent. You're buying another 150,000 miles for the cost of 2 monthly payments on a new truck. If it fails any of them, you need to make a different decision. Not every truck is worth saving, but the ones that are will reward you for years. Your truck has 200,000 miles. The internet says it's done. The dealer says it's time to trade. Your neighbor says you're crazy for keeping it. Ignore all of them. Fresh fluids, solid cooling system, tight suspension, clean ignition, service transmission, sealed gaskets, healthy electrics, and fresh wear components. That's not a truck that's dying. That's a truck starting its second life. $3,000 and a few weekends. That's what stands between you and another 150,000 miles. If you want the full schedule from mile zero, watch my 300,000-mile video. If you're shopping for a truck worth investing in, check out my engine and transmission goldmine videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.